Alright, this is John Cullen with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to go ahead and review some published scientific studies, and what this study shows is the top 4 foods that you guys should increase, and also some of the foods you should decrease to live longer if a longer life is important to you. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and you know, my channel is, I strive to be an evidence-based channel where I'm sharing with you guys not only the information that I've learned and what I've experienced over my career of being a raw vegan plant-based eater for 28 years now, but also more importantly bringing in the science to show you guys the latest scientific information so that you guys can incorporate that into your diet, whatever it may be, whether it's a vegan diet, plant-based diet, nutritarian diet, omnivorous diet, or even carnivore diet. I want you guys to have the facts you need to know to enhance your life and live longer if you want to do that. Maybe you don't want to do that, and that's all right. But the thing I see online is that there's a lot of raw food influencers that are just spouting out things that are just not true and plain and simple untruths, and are, in my opinion, misleading people and making people believe that if they're on a fruit diet and you have fast transit time, you're anti-aging, and because you're anti-aging, you're gonna live longer, right? Does the science support that? I haven't seen anything in the science to support that statement. You know, that's why I'm making this video for you guys to share with you guys what the science does say. I am surprised that no, standard vegan channels have picked up this published study. Maybe they will after I show it, and they'll give me credit. Hey, that crazy guy John OK Raw shared with me this study on the best plant foods to eat, and also the animal-based foods and processed foods you want to reduce to increase your lifespan if that is important to you. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into this published study. All right, so this published study is called Estimating Impact of Food Choices on Life Expectancy, a modeling study, and it was published in PLOS Medicine and just published in February 2022, so it's just about a year old now. And what they did is they based this on meta-analysis and data from the Global Burden of Disease study, which, a lot of influencers, educators, and doctors reference because that was a pretty, good study. We used life table methodology to estimate how life expectancy changes with sustained changes in the intake of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, refined grains, nuts, legumes, fish, eggs, milk, dairy, red meat, processed meat, and sugar-sweetened beverages, right? So what they're saying is that they compared all these individual dietary components to see which one will give you the most gains, right? People on a fruit diet may think, hey, the more fruit you eat, the healthier you're going to be, the longer you're going to live. This study, guys, unfortunately does not show that. I wish that was true, but it's not true according to the study. As I've shown in my other videos, links down below, in many cases there's a U-curve for many things, including exercise, fasting, fruit intake, vegetable intake. At some point, if you're not eating enough fruit, it's going to be unhealthy. If you're eating the appropriate amount right at the bottom of the U, you're going to get the maximum benefit. But then if you eat more fruit because you think it's really good, it's not going to be good for your health, because you could be eating something else in its place that could maybe take you to the next level, help out your microbiome even more than just simply eating more fruit or even vegetables, as much as I love my vegetables. So I want to share with you guys what this study reveals. So let's just go down here further. All right, so we're just going to jump down to author summary. Why was this study done? Food is fundamental for health, and global dietary risk factors are estimated to cause 11 million deaths and 255 million disability-adjusted life years annually. The Global Burden of Disease, Injuries, and Risk Factors Study, GBD, provides summary measures of population health that are relevant when comparing health systems, but does not estimate the impact of alterations in food groups, composition, and respective health benefits. The Eat Lancet Commission did present a planetary diet, but it gives limited information on the health impacts of other diets, and few people are able to adhere to strict health maximization approaches. So going down, what did the researchers do and find? Our modeling methodology using meta-analysis from the Global Burden of Disease Study and Life Table methodology showed that life expectancy, or LE, gains for prolonged changes from a typical Western to optimizing diets could translate into more than a decade for young adults. The largest gains, pay attention to this, would be made by eating more legumes, whole grains, and nuts, and less red and processed meats. For older people, the gains would be smaller but substantial. Even the feasibility approach diet indicates increased life expectancy by 7% or more for both sexes across age groups. And then going down, what do these findings mean? Because this is all big sciencey words. They basically made an online Healthy for Life calculator that I'm going to show you guys how to use to estimate if you add certain foods in, take certain foods out, how much longer of life can you expect based on this modeling data. And in my opinion, this modeling data pretty much references or corresponds to other data I've seen online on other published studies. So we're going to cover that FoodforHealthyLife.org calculator in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and jump down to the data to see what kind of benefits you guys could achieve. So next I want to go ahead and show you guys the data, and this is not very hard to decipher this data, and I want to explain to you guys what it means. So basically in this column they say the food item, legumes, whole grains, nuts, fish, fruit, vegetables, white meat, milk, dairy, eggs, refined grains, sugar sweetened beverages, red meat, and processed meats. And these numbers to the right of it means what is the difference. So if you're eating 0 legumes, like you're on a raw fruitarian diet, you don't eat legumes because they're not human food or whatever you guys think, and then you increase it to 200 grams, and just for that this is done in Europe. So 500 grams is about 1 pound, and then 250 grams is approximately 8 ounces. So 200 grams would maybe be around 7 ounces, just adjusted. So in American terms, so basically if you're eating 0 ounces of legumes and just go to 7 ounces a day, you can expect, if you're a man, 2.5 years extra of life. Wow. And if you go for legumes and think, I don't like legumes that much, I'm only going to eat 100 grams, which would maybe be like, 3 ounces or something like that, you're only going to get 1.2 extra years of life. So just 100 extra grams, or 3 ounces or 3.5 ounces of legumes extra could literally give you guys 2.5 years extra of life. So let's go ahead and look down this column and look at the biggest changes. So legumes obviously were the biggest, 0 to 200. This is another big one, 2.3. That's from taking your whole grains, just like eating some oatmeal, for example, from 50 grams to 225 grams. So the optimal amount, once again, about 7 ounces, 8 ounces of whole grains a day. And that's 2.3 years of life extra. If you take your whole grains from 50 to 137.5, not quite as much, you only get 1.4. Coming down to this one's interesting because people on a no overt fat diet, they're eating 0 nuts. But if you just take 0 nuts up to 25 grams of nuts, that's like an ounce, 1 ounce of nuts. Look at this, guys. 2 extra years of life. So next time you think, I'm not eating any overts, man, 1 ounce, guys, that's not a lot. But then look, if you took nuts from 0 to 12.5, so like, maybe a half an ounce, it only gave you 1 extra year of life. So, there's a point where you want to eat enough nuts, but then you don't want to go crazy, because if you start eating too many nuts, then you're going to get, it's not going to help you guys out as much. Let's keep going down and see the other big numbers. All right, a 1.1 change right over here, which was refined grains. Wow, so 1.1, this is another big number, and this is refined grains. So taking your refined grains down from 150 to 50 grams, right? So if like you're eating donuts, breads and cookies and cereals and all these things, right, with refined grains, you really want to get those down, because, you know, just reducing them down to 50, and it'd be better if you took them down to 0, right? You could gain years by taking them out of your diet, right? Here's another one, 1.3, sugar sweetened beverages. Guys, you guys gotta stop drinking the soda. And I don't care if it's kombucha, but if this kombucha's got added sugar, it's got a high amount of grams of sugar, right? You want to get down to 0, right? I make my own kombucha, I over ferment, and it's more like vinegar than kombucha. But you know, here's the thing, sweet beverages going from 500 grams, you know, to 0 grams, right? 1.3 years extra of life. But then if you're like, oh, I'm just gonna half it from 500 to 250, look at that, you only get a half a year extra. So isn't it worth it just to like start drinking some fresh vegetable juices with some fruit added for sweetener, right? And then, oh, what's this next one? 1.9, that's a big one. Look at that, red meat, right? I hate all the carnivores, man, that are eating red meat, think it's gonna extend their life. I mean, that's not what this study's showing. Going from 100 grams of red meat to 0 will extend your life 1.9 years, right? But if you go from red meat and like, oh, red meat's still good for me, I'm just gonna eat a little bit, you go from 100 grams to 50 grams, it's gonna extend your life basically 0.9 of a year, so almost 1 year. So you really gotta cut out that red meat, you're gonna get a lot more benefit. And then look at this, processed meats. Another one, you gotta cut the processed meats, guys. Hot dogs, salami, ham, all these things that are processed, right? Going from 50 grams, which is not a lot, guys, of processed meat, to 0 will give you 1.9 extra years of your life. If you're just reducing it by half and going from 50 to 25, it's gonna give you 0.8. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking, John, those are very low numbers. I eat a lot more processed meat than that now. Well, then, man, if you do that, like, you gotta really get rid of that stuff, guys. So let's go in. Those are the biggest changes you're gonna see. But of course, if we go from fruits, right? Here's the fruits. Where's the fruits? Right here. If you're eating 200 grams of fruits and you go to 400 grams of fruits, so doubling your fruit consumption, right? That's going to give you 0.4 extra years of life. But then if you go from 200 to 300 grams of fruits, it's only give you 0.3. So it looks like the 400 is kind of more optimal than the 300 for sure. On the vegetables, if you go to 250 grams of vegetables to 400 grams, which is just under a pound or so, it'll give you 0.4 extra years of life. And then going from 250 to 325, which is not a lot more, will give you 0.3. And if you guys are looking for the healthiest animal product to eat, then, you know, you got to look at fish. Fish going from 50 grams to 200 grams will increase your lifespan 0.6. So, I mean, some of the other ones were larger gains, but, you know, fish, due to their omega-3 fatty acids and probably some other reasons, are probably the healthiest animal product you guys should eat if life extension and living longer is important to you. All right, so what is the summary of all these charts? And I put a link down below to this published study if you guys want to look at it yourself, but I'm going to give you guys a cheat sheet right here. So look at this. Here is a cheat sheet. Life expectancy in order of significance. So the more arrows pointing up means the greater benefit to life expectancy it will have. So this study showed that legumes, adding enough legumes to your diet will raise your life expectancy more, as well as whole grains to a point, of course. Don't go crazy. We saw the optimal values of legumes and whole grains, approximately 8 ounces a day, guys. Eat an oatmeal in the morning, have a servings of beans in the afternoon. If you guys want to keep it raw, sprout your legumes, and you could sprout your whole grains and eat them raw that way. If you don't care if they're raw or cooked, then you know you could cook them up on the nuts. That'll increase your life more than the other foods as well, provided you eat literally 1 ounce, guys. 1 ounce of nuts a day, that's not a lot. Eat 1 ounce, and of course, to increase your life expectancy the most, you want to decrease the red meat. If you got to get rid of anything, get rid of the red meat according to this study. The next bad, of course, is the processed meat. You got to get rid of the red meat and the processed meat. Those will increase your life as much as including more of the legumes, whole grains, and nuts. And then, of course, you know, not as bad as the red meat or processed meat, but still quite bad. Sweetened drinks, refined grains, and eggs were quite bad. These things should be also removed from your diet. And of course, if you want to increase your diet, not quite as much as legumes, whole grains, and nuts, you want to increase your fish, fruits, and vegetables, right? That's the summary of this. You can turn it off now, but now I want to even go deeper for you guys that are still hanging out. All right, so last I want to go into this calculator here. It's at foodforhealthylife.org. Just click that link or type it into your browser. It'll take you to this little Food for Healthy Life calculator here, where you're going to put in your location, where you live, United States, Europe, Norway, China. I'm in the United States. You're going to select an age. We're just going to go ahead and select a nominal age. I don't know, just say like 39 years old. We're going to say male. And so this will give you the data for, the person of that age, whether it's you, a son, a baby, or whoever, right? And so here's the thing, a 39-year-old male, and on this column here, this first column over on this side, this is what you're eating now. So for example, now, let's say this 39-year-old male is a carnivore, so he eats 0 whole grains, he eats a bunch of fish, he eats some processed meat because, hey, meat's good even if it's processed. He eats lots of red meat because, hey, red meat, you gotta eat red meat to be a man. He eats 0 legumes, he drinks some dairy, doesn't have any vegetables, they're for sissies, and they got anti-nutrients, no fruit. They don't eat any sugar beverages because they're just a carnivore straight up. They eat some eggs because, hey man, they steal the eggs from the chickens and eat them. They eat some white meat. Hey, chicken's good too, but they're not having any oil, right? And then over on this side, that person that's a carnivore saw some videos that are on like Plant Choppers. Plant Choppers YouTube channel has some videos. Maybe I'll post a link down below to like life expectancy of influencers that eat different style diets, whether it's an Atkins diet, high meat diet, or plant-based diet. And in the data, according to this, Plant Choppers, the people that eat a plant-based diet live longer than the people that are eating meat-based diet. So let's go ahead and do this. Whole grains, so let's say now this person eats maybe about 362 grams of whole grains. Fish, they're not eating fish because they're going vegan. They got some heart disease and they want to figure it out. They're going to eat 25 grams of nuts. Not a lot of nuts, guys. They're going to cut out all their red meat, but now they're going to eat legumes because like legumes are super healthy. We're going to eat 450 grams of legumes. They're going to cut out the dairy and milk because they're going to drink nut milk now. And then we're going to crank up the vegetables because they know vegetables are really where it's at, and that's what I believe. Vegetables are really where it's at. Fruit, are they going to crank up the fruit to 800? No, they're going to be like moderate. They're going to say, I'm going to eat like 500 grams of fruit. That's like a good pound of fruit a day, right? Because I want to eat other things, not just only eat fruit. I'm not going to drink any sugar-sweetened beverages. We're not going to have any refined grains or eggs or white meat. Maybe we'll have 25 grams of additional oil, like a high quality olive oil on the salad. So we eat our vegetables. All right, so let's go up to the top of the calculator and see what it says. So if you want to see the individual results, you can look at these graphs right here to show you how many years you're going to gain. By literally cutting out the processed meat, you're going to gain like more than 9 years. That's like really dramatic. So that's going to be the biggest gain, but of course, adding things like whole grains is going to give you 3.36 years, and this is the number you're looking for, years gained lost for prolonged change. So if you keep up your plant-based diet with grains and fruits and vegetables, right, you're going to gain 30 years of your life from being a carnivore eating high-processed meat products, right? And animal products. Wow, that's completely amazing. Somebody could gain 30 years. Now, I know a lot of you, my viewers, are not on the carnivore diet because you probably would be watching me. So let's go ahead and reset this calculator, come down fresh now again, and now we're going to do another situation. We're going to say the person is 12 years old, a male. I have a nephew who's 12 years old, and now we're going to estimate how much longer he could live if he wanted to eat more whole food, plant-based, with an emphasis on some of these different foods. So we're going to say whole grains. We're just going to start with some of the defaults because I don't exactly know what he eats. Whole grains is 50. Fish, he might eat some fish sometimes. Processed meats, he goes to school, eats with his school kids. Maybe 200. Nuts, he probably doesn't have any nuts. Red meat, he eats that with his dad, has hamburgers and pizza. Legumes, he might eat a few beans or something. Milk, dairy, milk helps the body grow strong, so he's got a lot of milk. Vegetables, he doesn't like vegetables too much. Fruit, he might eat a little bit of fruit. And then sugar-sweetened beverages like, Gatorade and Powerade. He probably drinks a lot of that stuff to replenish. And then refined grains, you know, breads, pastas, all these things are refined. He probably eats a bunch of that stuff. Eggs, his mom tells him eggs are healthy, so he eats a bunch of eggs. White meat, oh, chicken's healthy too, so he eats a bunch of white meat. And then he has a bunch of added oils in with the processed food he's eating. So then we go down to like, okay, what is he going to eat now after maybe doing this calculator himself, or maybe you guys are doing this calculator for you. You could estimate how many grams you eat before, like now, and then how many grams you want to eat, or how many you might eat, depending. You could play with this. So now he's going to start eating oatmeal for breakfast. He's not going to eat any fish because he's going to go vegan. Or hey, let's say he's going to eat a little bit of fish because he's like, hey man, I don't want to be entirely vegan because fish is probably one of the healthiest things I could eat. Yeah, they're overfishing the seas, and you could watch, you know, Seaspiracy and whatnot. But he's going to eat a little fish because he's not going to be vegan. But he's not going to eat the processed meat. He's going to eat 1 ounce of nuts a day, not a lot, just a few nuts. He's going to cut out the red meat. He's going to eat legumes because legumes got a lot of protein. They're good for you. Help you out your microbiome with the resistant starch. He's not going to eat the milk or dairy. He's going to crank up the vegetables a bunch, and he's going to eat more fruit. And maybe like 1 pound of fruit a day. He's going to try to eat like 1.5 pounds of vegetables, which is not a lot, guys. I mean, I could eat that in one meal. Not going to have any sugar sweetened beverages anymore. Going to drink something like coconut water instead of, you know, Powerade. He's going to get rid of those refined grains and, you know, pizza crusts and flour and cookies and breads. He's not going to eat any eggs. He's going to cut out the white meat, and he's going to minimize the added oils of 25. So we could go here. And look at that, wow. He's going to gain, because he's 12 now, right? His gains are going to be a lot greater. He's going to gain 32 years extra of life by modifying his diet, by telling the other school kids and telling his parents, no, Dad, no, Mom, I want to eat these foods because I see how it's going to affect my life. I want to live 32 years extra longer. And then he could go down to this and say, hey, what if I eat some processed meat sometimes, right? If he eats some processed meat sometimes, now he's going to only live 28 years longer, right? And you know, he's going to eat some red meat. Oh, I went out my dad and ate some red meat, right? Now it goes down to 25. Oh, I don't like beans that much, so I'm going to reduce that. It goes up, and now he's only got 24 extra years of life. Oh, I drank some milk because I was with the team and they drank some milk. Still at 24. Now he's going to make, oh, I got to drink the Gatorade, right? Up that. Wow, it's only down to 23 now, right? He starts eating some eggs again because his friends and people pressure him, right? Now it's down to 21. So he was up at 32. Now he's only going to live 21 extra years. And he gets to choose what he wants to do, right? Oh, I'm going to eat a bunch of chicken because chicken's supposed to be healthy for you. Only 20 years now, see? So see how this could affect you? Now let's go ahead and do another reset. So I'm going to reload the page. And now this is going to be an interesting one, guys. So now we're going to crank these down to 0 because this person that I'm going to compare is a raw vegan fruitarian, right? So they don't eat any of these foods, but they, you know, already eat. We're going to crank up the max vegetables, 800 grams. We're going to crank up the fruit to 800 grams, but we're going to crank down everything else to nothing because they're not eating anything. Now, this is not entirely realistic because these should go up higher for higher calorie counts, but they're capped off at 18 because this is in, you know, everything is in relation to everything else. It's not just only eat fruits and vegetables for the healthiest diet. That's what I used to think, but now with calculators like this, you guys can see the difference. So whole grains, that person who was a fruitarian now and ate only fruits and vegetables, they're going to include some whole grains. They're going to include, I mean, not even that much, maybe like 350 ounces of grains, 7 ounces of oatmeal in the morning, right? They're not going to eat fish. They don't believe in fish. They don't believe in processed meat. They're going to, instead of being, you know, 80, 10, 10, no overt fats, they're going to eat 25 grams of nuts. 1 ounce, guys. They're not going to eat any red meat. They're going to increase their legumes to like 400 grams, which is a little bit under a pound because, hey, if they're not eating as much fruit, they need to get their calories somewhere. They're not going to eat the dairy. They're going to keep their vegetables at max, and they're going to relax on the fruit to like 525 grams of fruit instead of 800. They're going to nix the sugar-sweetened beverages they never drank before. They're going to cut out the refined grains that they didn't eat. They're going to not eat eggs anyways. They're going to not eat white meat. But hey, they're going to add 25 grams of added high-quality olive oil. And let's see how this affects their lifespan. Look at that. Going from only eating fruits and vegetables, right, to including some other different foods, they gained 7.5 years of life. The biggest gain was here from the legumes, right? So once again, if you guys want to keep it raw, sprout your legumes. You guys could sprout things like mung beans and chickpeas and lentils and eat them sprouted. These days, I just straight up cook them because now I could, even if you sprout kidney beans, you can't eat them. You're going to get sick and maybe die if you sprout kidney beans and try to eat them. Many legumes need to be heat processed to basically detoxify them so that you can eat them. So I use the pressure cooker, which is the best way to reduce the lectins and other toxins in the beans. If you want to take it to the next level, you want to pressure cook and then ferment your beans into something like a natto. That's even next level. We're not even going to go there. And look at this. By including some whole grains in a fruit and vegetable based diet, they're going to also get 3.74 years of life. So really, we're seeing the biggest gains in lifespan by legumes and whole grains, right? And just reducing the fruit a little bit gave them a little bit of gain as well, right? By not overeating the fruit or eating too many and including other foods. Wow, so look at this. This calculator is really cool, guys. You guys could really see, put your information in here, see what you're doing before and after. We're going to go ahead and do one more reset for you guys to show you guys just some information. So we're going to say the person's like, I don't know, we're just going to say the person's like 46 years old and a male. And now we're just going to go ahead and click this button, optimal and feasible. So we're going to click the optimal button, and this is basically what the study believes you guys should eat to extend your lifespan. So if you're 46 years old and you're a male, you could gain 11.1 years of life by doing what they tell you right here. From going whole grains from 50, go to 225. From fish to 50, which is not a lot, up it to 200. Processed meats, take it from 50 to 0. No more processed meat, guys. Nuts are 0, up it to 25, which is my recommendation also. Red meat was 100 grams, reduce it to 0. Legumes were 0, because, men don't eat legumes, they eat red meat, right? Up it to 200, that's not a lot, guys. That's like a couple ounces. Milk and dairy just reduced 100 from 300 to 200. I would encourage you guys to drink nut milk instead. For your vegetables, increase your vegetable consumption from 250 to 400, not a lot. Fruit, 200 grams, which is like nothing, to 400 grams, which in my opinion is still nothing. That's just a little bit under a pound, which is nothing. Sugar sweetened beverages from 500. So, everybody drinks Coke and Diet Coke and all these, stupid colas and whatnot. Take it down to 0, guys. Start drinking fresh juices. Refined grains, taking it down from 150. So stop eating those donuts and croissants and bagels in the morning and take it down to 50. Eggs were 50, half it down to 25. White meat from 75 to 50. And your added oils, keep it at 25. And look at that. You could gain 11.1 years if you're optimal in doing this. Of course, you could tweak this more. Like, things that I still wouldn't drink the dairy. I still wouldn't have the refined grains. I wouldn't be eating the eggs. I wouldn't be eating the white meat. I'd still keep a little bit of added oil in there. No red meat, no processed meats. I'd probably cut the fish out. Look at that. We're down to 9.7, but hey, if we add the fish in, look at that, 10.5, right? We up the fish a bit more, 10.7. Let's look at this. If we up the nuts more, what happens? Up the nuts more, we reduce our life, right? So there's a sweet spot here, like at 25 or so for the nuts. Let's look at this, right? Fruits are good, John. I'm going to eat more fruit. So this person is at 400 grams of fruit, 10.7 years. Let's max out the fruit to the most because we're going to double the fruit consumption to 800. So it goes from 10.7 to 10.4. So you just lost 0.3 years because you doubled your fruit intake, right? So, you could up your vegetable game to like maximum. We're going to go ahead and reduce the fruit a little bit. And now we're at 10.8, right? So see how you guys could, mess with a calculator to see how many years of life you want to gain by changing what you're eating. This is a very important calculator, guys, for those of you guys that like data and like screwing around with things to see. So now we're going to go ahead and click the feasible link here. to see what's feasible. So the feasible, and this is like for standard people that really don't want to change their diet. I don't recommend this, but you know, they just show if you even just make moderate adjustments to what you're eating, not even significantly from 0 grams of nuts to 12.5, it'd be more optimal if you did 25, right? You're upping your legumes only to 100. You're only reducing your milk by 50. You're increasing your vegetables by 75. You're increasing the fruit only by 100, right? You're gonna still gain 6.2 years. So you could screw with this calculator all you guys want to max it out, right? Worst cases like that I could figure out is if you're a carnivore eating high processed meats and you go totally vegan, or even if you go vegan, eat the unprocessed vegan foods and even eat a little bit of fish, you could still really kick some ass and add lots of years to your life. That is why I make these videos, guys. I almost lost my life when I was younger, and I'm doing the raw vegan diet to extend my life to, you know, make it as long as possible. And I wish I had this calculator and this information when I got started back in 1995, because I will tell you guys, I would have did things a little bit differently than I did. I did not have this information, but you guys that are watching this now are blessed to have this kind of information so that you guys can make small tweaks, man. Don't like go crazy and eat like tons of legumes, man. I'm just saying eat 7 ounces a day extra. Sprout them, right? However you guys want to eat them, eat some more whole grains and legumes. Those are the 2 most important foods to extend your lifespan if you're already eating enough fruits and vegetables. Of course, if you're on a standard American diet, eating processed meats and red meats and eggs and all these things, yeah, get those out too. But now you guys have the data you need and the calculator you need to model and to see how many more years you guys could add to your life by making small incremental changes to your diet. And that's what I'm all about. You guys don't have to make any radical changes unless you need to. If you're sick and on death's door, then yeah, you might want to make more radical changes. But if you're overall in healthy shape, you know, you should be always trying to tweak things out. That's why I look at these studies. That's why I learn the information from me, but more importantly, I could share with you guys. So thanks for sticking around and watching this whole episode. If you guys really like this episode, hey, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. That'll encourage me to do more videos like this, where I look into the science and kind of like translate it into layman's terms so that you guys could use the data and benefit from my research, because most of you guys are not looking up these studies like I do, like almost every day. Also, more importantly, be sure to share this with other people, whether they're eating a plant-based diet, whether they're eating a fruit-based diet, a raw vegan diet, any kind of diet, they should know about this information for sure. Share it on your different social media apps, email it to your friends and family so that they could be aware of this study and how the calculator could help them out as well. Another thing I would like to add in, this calculator did not factor in mushrooms, which I was saddened by, because I believe if they had a category and a slider bar for mushrooms, right, I believe that would also show that the more mushrooms you add to a point, right, would extend your life. And if you didn't eat the mushrooms, it's going to shorten your life, right? So I would encourage you guys also to eat mushrooms. If you guys are looking for a healthy diet style to eat where you guys don't have to figure out everything, I would encourage you guys to look into Dr. Joel Fuhrman's Fruitarian diet. Eat for Life, Eat to Live are some excellent books that I would recommend to you. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and want more episodes like this, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below. You never know where I'll show up, what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel that can enhance your health. And make sure you click the little bells to get notified as my new videos come out. Finally, be sure to check out past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 600 episodes at this time dedicated to teach you guys all about some of the science and evidence-based reasons why I eat a plant-based, mostly raw diet. I'll put links down below to some other videos that are kind of related to this video that you may want to watch that are all about life enhancement, such as eating a high polyphenol diet that we really didn't cover in this episode. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables, including legumes and whole grains. They're always the best.